Mark Twain and Ambrose Bierce are some of America's more famous authors, though Twain is considered more popular than Bierce. Both authors were known to use literary realism to tell the stories of everyday people within the US. Literary realism is when writers attempt to describe reality as it is, truthfully, versus exaggerating the real life events. Both Twain and Bierce grew up in the Midwest, Missouri, and Ohio, and experienced poverty and other rural experiences, harsher realities that occurred during that time, which is reflected in the stories that they wrote, highlighting the very real events in their lives. One of Mark Twain's most famous literary works is the notorious Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, which is a story about a man telling another story about a man, Jim Smiley, who bet his frog, Daniel Webster, could jump higher than any other frog. When it came time to prove it, the other man gave Daniel Webster a quail shot that made him too heavy to jump, leading to the loss of the bet. Um, the characters of the story are portrayed as everyday people who live in a small town in California. Jim Smiley himself is portrayed as a very relatable character. He's a gambler and was tricked by a stranger in the bet. These aspects of the story, along with the authentic dialogue, show Twain's use of literary realism to show the humor in real life events. In the passage of the story, paragraph 7, I noticed some of the dialogue, which included words like often, spelled OFF apostrophe N, and doin' any more'n, which both greatly reflect the specific language that was used in a rural town during that time period. So, the notorious jumping frog of Calaveras County shows just how Mark Twain used accurate dialogue and settings as forms of literary realism. While Twain was known for using humor, which he rooted in reality, Ambrose Bierce approached writing in a more harsh or steely manner. One of his works, called An Occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, is the story of a man who is about to be executed by hanging for trying to sabotage a Union Railroad bridge. Um, as he is standing there on the platform, he begins to imagine his escape. At the end of the story, it is revealed that he did not, in fact, escape and that he was still on the platform. The story takes place in a rural setting during the Civil War, which reflects the very real and harsh events that occurred during the time when Bierce lived. The story also shows that death is an inescapable part of life, and all of those details together reveal the realism within the story that Bierce tried to show. Um, so it is very much accurate to say that both authors used literary realism in various forms to portray everyday life honestly and sometimes to critique society or human nature.